At a time when players like Ninja and Myth were thought to be the best that Fortnite had to offer, there was one exuberant prodigy grinding hard to prove that he was the greatest. He went from not even knowing if he could compete to earning over $500,000 in prize money, all before he even turned 16 years old. What's up guys, my name is Kellen, and this is MONGRAAL's story. Today we're teaching you MONGRAAL's story, but over at ProGuides.com, MONGRAAL can teach you how to play Fortnite. His master course, now updated for Chapter 2, tells you all that you need to know how to do in order to dominate this meta. Plus, you can always opt to play with pros for a more one-on-one learning experience. Like the video and subscribe, and let us know whose story that you want to see next. Then, after the video is done, follow the link in the description down below or head over to ProGuides.com to start improving. Kyle Jackson, or as most of us know him as MONGRAAL, was born on August 13th, 2004, and it was at a very young age the British-born lad discovered his calling to gaming. At around 8 or 9 years old, he was already hard at work, developing fundamental shooter skills in games like Halo and Call of Duty. Through a combination of natural prowess and hard work, he quickly got good, like really good, better than the average player and even beating out some semi-pros on the leaderboards, skilled enough to know that he had some serious potential. So he dabbled into Counter-Strike for a short while before moving into the emerging Battle Royale genre with the game H1Z1. He did relatively well in these games, age and limited experience considered, but he never really found his calling. The passion just wasn't there. Until the game we all know and love saw the light of day. Just shortly after his 13th birthday, Fortnite Battle Royale was released. Now, to him, and a lot of us out there, this game was like no other. The smooth, fluid gameplay was a fantastic experience that compelled most fans of existing BR games to go ahead and make the switch, and the skill ceiling was massive. Every single day during the game's infancy, players were getting better and better. There was so much room for improvement. And for someone with an enormous drive to get better, like MONGRAAL, it was a match made in heaven. We all know that Fortnite is a unique game. The game's building mechanics are so one of a kind that any sort of mastery just cannot be transferred over from other games. It has to be earned. So MONGRAAL grinded and grinded. He would play non-stop whenever he could. Mind you, he's a child, so school was still an obligation for him. But after coming home from dull classes, forget homework, he would hop on the game and start to play. MONGRAAL knew that the best way to grow his skill set the quickest was by playing competitively, so he would play in open scrim matches whenever possible, making sure to take defeat in stride. Any sort of mistakes would lead to analysis, VOD review, and theory crafting to ensure that they wouldn't happen again. And that determination paid off, because before long, MONGRAAL found himself winning more and more scrim games.
It was when I started winning a lot of the solo snipes and squad snipes and tournaments with my current squad. It was like then that I really knew that I can definitely take this to the next level. So over the seasons I just kept playing and I got more like, I believed in myself more.
Just being able to consistently win what were the most competitive games at the time was a huge confidence boost for him. Fortnite was his game. A few months into 2018, MONGRAAL was already rising to the top as one of the game's best players. His game style was different, much more aggressive than most players at the time, which really caught the community's eye.
How to play super aggressive, just rush everyone. Never be scared to engage, just look at these guys in here, they think they're good, boom, just got trapped. Now what are you going to do? I'm going to edit that, boom, like you're dead. Look at this guy, he thinks he's cool, coming up his ramp, boom, laser. Boom, dead. Give me that slurp, let me pick this up. Oh, I'm getting rushed on. Oh! Boom, boom, cone him, boom. Build over. Oh, get sprayed. Not what I want. Build a fortified, boom. Blaze it, boom, boom, boom. Edit, boom. Dead.
At this point, he started live streaming on Twitch and posting a lot of his videos jaw-dropping high-kill gameplays on YouTube. It may not seem like it, but trust me, it was top tier for the time, and that media presence helped him garner a lot of popularity. Being able to market himself as well as he did proved to be a defining move, because on April 25th, he was scouted and picked up by an esports organization, Team Secret. If you followed closely to competitive Fortnite in the past year, it may seem pretty reasonable to hear about adolescents dominating the professional scene and making fat stacks of cash. But back then, when Fortnite was still relatively new to the esports scene, a 13-year-old getting signed was unheard of. Typically, pro players in other games are usually a lot older, either in their late teens or young adulthood, so it came as an absolute shock. Even the national news picked up the story, earning him an interview with the BBC. Remarkably, all this happened when he was still only 13 years of age. Being so young and due to his age, you would think that MONGRAAL was maybe a little too immature to represent an org on such a significant level. But when asked about his age, Team Secret said we had no idea. The level of communication they had in the game was at such a professional level. It's very rare to find a player that is at that caliber at such a young age. Now, playing for a professional team, MONGRAAL had achieved his dream. He was already earning money doing what he loves, with an opportunity to travel the world and explore new places. But there was a problem: Fortnite's age requirement. Anyone who wanted to participate in events run by Epic Games would have to be at least 16 years of age. So for MONGRAAL, he wasn't allowed to play in a lot of the big tournaments where all of the money was. Like the summer and fall skirmishes, millions were given away by Epic, but MONGRAAL was not allowed to be there. He wasn't even considered for an invite. And it wasn't even about the money for him. He just said he wanted to compete so badly.
It's £2. Too bad you can't play the summer skirmish. Hopefully they'll change it, yeah. All I want to do is play the summer skirmish. I don't care if all the money would go to charity or whatever, I just want to play.
So, MONGRAAL was stuck playing more small, unsanctioned events, but with the help of his teammates, he placed consistently in every tournament that had their doors open to him. He won several, including a substantial first place victory in Week 6 of Friday Fortnite.
Be careful, his head is really exposed at this point, taking even more damage, down to 34 health, and he's gone! And Hogman is down, and my goodness, we are going to see, and he's going to leave that match, man, as we see a great match just ended. MONGRAAL and Dementos are going to take the champion. A 14-year-old has just taken over this tournament and won $10,000.
All the props, man,
on his line. Come on, that's amazing.
It's
for,
insane
for a 14. I mean, come on, that is huge.
And all the props to those guys.
Yeah, all the props to them, and this is a shout out to all the young guns out there that are aspiring to be professionals here, especially in the Fortnite scene.
With so many youngsters swiftly gaining prominence, Epic had to make a choice. Do we keep the age requirement where it was, or lower it so we can truly get to see the best competitive Fortnite has to offer? And in February of 2019, they made the right choice. With their rule changes, anyone 13 or older could compete and earn money in official Fortnite tournaments. Finally, everything MONGRAAL had worked so hard for came to fruition. With the World Cup qualifiers starting shortly, he could now show the world what he was made of. Coming into the World Cup, MONGRAAL made a big choice, and he swapped duo partners. He dropped his duo Dementos and paired up with the Dutch mastermind Mitro. And oh my, they immediately showed results. First place in the Lux Cup, third place in the World Cup warm-up in their first events together, and with the way they played, there was no way these two weren't qualifying for the Big Apple. The qualifiers came and they owned it. During the first duos week, MONGRAAL and Mitro dropped 105 points and effortlessly earned their seats for the finals. Unfortunately, the same couldn't be said for MONGRAAL's solo spot. He needed at least 8th place during one of the 5 solo weeks to qualify. During the first, he got 17th. In the second and third weeks, things didn't pan out and he didn't even make the leaderboard. Come the 4th week, he got a disappointing 53rd place. Maybe he was getting unlucky, or he got a tiny bit too into his own head. Because truthfully, it wasn't like him, and with 1 week left, everyone was wondering, will MONGRAAL qualify? Even though his previous solo adventures were rough, he managed to make it. His fans breathed a huge sigh of relief, and they were now eagerly waiting to watch him play in the finals. But before that, a completely surprising switch-up came out of nowhere.
If you wanted to, we can up the league here.
That's right, MONGRAAL left Team Secret on good terms and moved over to FaZe Clan. FaZe already had a hugely stacked roster with Dubs, Mega, and Funk Bomb, but now MONGRAAL would be representing them at the World Cup as well. Come the World Cup Finals in New York, it was an explosive event. Only a handful of players managed to qualify for both solos and duos, and MONGRAAL was one of them. Expectations were high, and although he didn't win, he still absolutely killed it. For solos, he ended in a very respectable 13th place, and for duos, he and Mitro finished in 6th. Overall, he went home with $375,000. And that's a huge win. After he returned home, MONGRAAL went right back to work. The Fortnite Champion Series Trios event was announced, so now Mitro and MONGRAAL needed another partner. They went with none other than Benji Fishy. The trio produced what was probably the most dominant trio we've seen in all of Season 10. These guys won week after week after week of qualifiers. It was like they were unstoppable. Pretty much everyone knew that they would win the finals. At first, they were performing as expected and topping the charts. But then, Season 10 things happened. A mech spawned right near their drop location, and they got pushed hard. Not just once either, and they couldn't really do anything about it. No teams really could. Fighting these mechs was next to impossible with their massive health pool and ridiculous disruption abilities. So in the end, our trio finished 10th place out of 32 teams, which, all things considered, wasn't too bad. But MONGRAAL hated the results of this tournament final. Lucky for him, Chapter 2 in the next season of the FNCS would be a lot more straightforward. This time, it was squads, so a bit of restructuring needed to happen. To many people's dismay, MONGRAAL and Mitro split up, marking the end of an era. He stuck with Benji Fishy and tried out a few other players like Mr. Savage and Indretta, but ultimately chose UK controller legend Wolfies and the expert Frenchman, Nati. This time around, there were no broken we win vehicles in the game. It was all about pure Fortnite skill, like knowing how to rotate, win box fights, and work together as a team. Turns out, when the game rewards skill, the better players tend to come out on top. So after weeks of fierce competition, MONGRAAL and his team managed to come in second for the squad finals, a result that MONGRAAL was much more acceptable with. After the squad finals, duos were announced, and that's sort of where we are today. Many were wondering if MONGRAAL was going to team up with Mitro again since they didn't exactly separate on harsh terms, and their past performances have been stellar, but because of more recent showings, MONGRAAL chose Benji as his duo partner for all upcoming events. Benji Fishy has been absolutely destroying lately, both in the solo cups and team play, and MONGRAAL, well, he's MONGRAAL. One of the most consistent players out there, always feared by other pros and known for producing favorable outcomes when they're needed. We don't know how it's going to play out, but based on preliminary results, a top 5 finish is pretty much guaranteed. There's always a bit of randomness in how things can turn out, but still, for how well MONGRAAL and Benji have been playing, we see nothing but success in their future. I don't think there's a better example than MONGRAAL of how hard work pays off in Fortnite. He's been grinding daily since he was just a kid. First with other games, but especially once this game blew up. His mentality is all about wanting to be the best, and he labors towards that goal every single day.
Okay. No! I'm insane! I'm insane! I'm so f***ing good! No!
Thousands upon thousands of hours of creative practice, scrimming, reviewing, gameplay, aggressive gameplay, really anything to improve. And the results speak for themselves. He's now one of the most popular competitors out there, with over 2 million YouTube subs and 1.8 million on Twitch, and a fan following that will likely live on for a very, very long time. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about the story of MONGRAAL, his backstory, and how he got into Fortnite. If you did, consider liking if you haven't already, and subscribe for tips, tricks, and more videos on player history. Tell us in the comments down below who you want to see next. And also, remember to check out MONGRAAL's master course over at ProGuides.com because there's a lot that this godly level player can teach you. Once again, my name is Kellen, and I'll see you guys next time.